Alright, welcome to Mania once again, this time on the PS1 version. If you missed the task run of the SNES earlier, then this is your chance to watch this. This one is much longer than the task, of course, and being the PS1 version, we won't be like skipping levels with warps and zips, so you can see the game in its entirety. We're ready to go in 3, 2, 1, go. A bit of background on this game. This game came out in 1994 originally on the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis and Sega CD. And later in 1996 there was a bit of a remake for PS1, but it was PAL only. So this is on the European version, 50 FPS as opposed to 60. You might notice the game is quite a bit slower than it was on the SNES version earlier. Just everything runs slower. However, the graphics are much improved, as well as the music, of course. Here we have the first bit of a skip in the game. We jump on the bird to get on top of these balconies earlier. Otherwise, casually we would have to jump on this thing right here. Notice this thing that I just touched is the checkpoint. This is a rocket, another checkpoint system in this game. It's not just like any other game. What happens is, if you haven't touched the checkpoint and you die, then you go back to the start of the screen. However, if you touch the checkpoint and then you die, you don't respawn at the checkpoint, you respawn where you last touched the ground. So, as you can imagine, we can abuse this in the run, since you might see that taking damage doesn't slow us down, it doesn't stun us, it doesn't push us anywhere, it just gives us some iframes. So we can just take damage in order to skip having to wait for cycles and kill enemies and stuff. And dying just helps us refill our health. There, you notice I went down from the crate instead of just jumping to the right. That's a bit of a secret area down there that skips a bit of a boss. And now we're in the second cartoon of the game, the Mad Doctor. The game is organized in 6 different cartoons, each representing one of the earlier Mickey Mouse cartoons. This was the game was supposed to be released in honor of some anniversary of Mickey Mouse. So you play through Steamboat Willie, the Mad Doctor, and 4 other old cartoons. This came out before Runaway Brain. And coming up is the first auto-scroller of the game. Here we can't really do anything to make this go faster. We are riding some gurneys in the Mad Doctor's castle. So very spooky. Plenty of bats and skeletons. Don't be scared. You are with a professional right now. I know what I'm doing, don't worry. And here is the first 3D level of the game. You did not see this on the SNES earlier, because the SNES does not have this level. All other versions of the game do have it in some form. The tower levels, there are 2 of them, this and another one later. They're coded in a bit of a weird way. If we were to play on easy difficulty, we would take half as much damage, and stars would refill 1 full finger, which means 2 hit points, 2 damage points, rather than 1. However, if I played on easy and we were to take a star in one of the tower levels, it would only refill 1 hit point, for some reason. Also, you cannot quit the game. in tower levels. It just restarts the level for some reason. Now here I'm gonna take this rope from the other one. Pretty cool. But here comes the second autoscroller of the game. We're going to go up this lift. Now I'm not taking any secret areas apart from the one that we took earlier to skip the boss. But there are some in the game. There was one before the gurney ride, and there is one at the end of the screen. They all lose time, however, but they give you some extra health and some extra lives. 160, no, this is 50 FPS. I mean, the stream might be in 60, but the game is running at 50. However, I was watching a casual player play this game a few days ago, and he was playing on a PS Classic, and it was actually going at 60 FPS. I'm wondering why. But here we're going to make a chemical bomb. Don't mind me. And we're about to face another boss, the Mad Doctor himself. Remember kids, don't try this at home. As far as the music goes, it is pretty good. Of the 4 versions of the game, I would say I like the PS1/Sega CD music the best, but the SNES and Genesis music are also pretty good. Now the Mad Doctor here, he takes 6 hits to die, and we want to be on the right side as much as possible when he dies, because there's this unskippable cutscene where we walk to the right. So if we were all the way on the left, then we would have to walk all the way over here. The SNES is actually probably the best speedrun, but overall the PS1 is probably the best version of the game. Reason being that the SNES has all of those zips and warps. In theory, the warps also exist on Genesis, but I don't think we have found any way to actually do them. We're in the third cartoon of the game now, Moose Hunters. If I don't jump before taking damage on the branches, I get a squishing animation that slows me down a lot. And sadly I took 1 extra point of damage there, so I will have to skip... oh, never mind. I will be able to jump over all 3 of those branches at once, with only 1 point of health, by using iframes to their fullest. The SNES does have a 60 FPS version, yes. The PS1 is the only one that's only PAL. Oh, that actually hit me. Okay. Alright, this is a very bad Moose Hunter now. But we have the second 3D level of the game now. If you remember, the Moose Chase was in Mode 7 on SNES. Now it's actually 3D. Although all of the sprites are still in 2D. Actually, I guess the fence might be in 3D, but the rest is very much 2D. I skipped the stumble animation on the rock. If you jump at the right time, you don't stumble. but it doesn't really save time or anything. As I said before in the SNES one, the apples refill a hidden stamina meter. So if we don't take apples for a while, we will slow down and eventually the moves will catch up to us. And all sorts of bad stuff happens when the move catches up to us. We get a unique death animation where the move just runs us over and then we have to do the chase again.
Kinda cold out here, isn't it?
I don't know why. Like, if the move runs you over and then just goes past, then why do you have to do the chase again? The move is past, right?
Hiya, pal.
I actually failed this jump here, which is not great, but I have enough health anyway. And I can just jump off of the raft. We did not do that in the SNES because on SNES your movement is actually locked on the raft.
Hiya, pal. Oh.
And here we cannot skip the sliding down animation when the stairs turn into ramps, because the trigger is just too far down. Hiya, pal. See, Mickey knows. He knows. Here there are some stairs which are really annoying to do fast. These are actually in a global cycle. Let's see if I can get it. Nice, nice. Okay. As far as I've heard, the reason why there's no NTSC version of this is because at the time, in 1996, Sony America wasn't accepting 2D games, even though this is not fully 2D. It's mostly 2D. These ghosts are lonesome. Just a bit of a poke at the title of the cartoon. Mickey does not have a lot of voice lines on SNES at all. He has a few on Genesis, but Sega CD really expands on those, and PS1 just takes it one step further. I guess they were, yeah. That's just what I heard. That they weren't accepting 2D at the time, but they did start accepting them later. While Sony Europe was accepting them. Sony Europe was just completely fine with that. There's actually one of the developers of this game, one of the developers of the Sega Genesis version. He has a YouTube channel called Game Hut, and he has made some videos where he explains the development process of the game, especially of the Genesis. He has explained the level warps, he's explained how he built the 3D levels. And I believe he is also one of the developers of some Sonic game, not quite sure which one. But yeah, remember all the levels that we were skipping on SNES? We are not skipping them here, we can just see them. Sonic 3D, that might be the one. I'm not sure. Is it the one? I think it was a 2D on Genesis. But it was a game that also had some kind of technique, just like the level warps on this game, where people found out that if you shake the cartridge a bit or whatever, if you fiddle with the cartridge, then you get like a secret bonus level. And he explains that the bonus level is just triggered by any error. It's not like the secret to do it. It's just make an error and you get the bonus level or something. But I am not really qualified to talk about that because I have not played that game. Nice, I got a nice cycle on that, even though I missed the jump earlier. And yeah, these stairs here are really annoying. If I can get this jump on the butterfly to get up, nice. The beetles are invulnerable when they're walking, but they are vulnerable when they are flying. However, they can hurt us in their death animation, so I'm being really careful with that. Especially since I'm kind of low on health. This is lower than I'm supposed to be. As I said before, the run is all about health management. Since there aren't any major skips or glitches, there will be a couple of glitches right at the end in the final boss. But here is a Willy Chase. Willy Chase is yet another chase level which is exclusive to the PS1 version. Every other level that's on PS1 is also on like Sega CD, except this one. You know, the 50 FPS thing plus all of the extra levels and stuff, that all contributes to this one being half an hour long, as opposed to the SNES being like 17 minutes long. Oh, I'm not in a good shape there, but I'll be fine. And we're coming up on the last of the 6 cartoons of the game, The Prince and the Pauper. We start with the chandeliers that we saw earlier on SNES. They're placed differently and they're probably much easier to maneuver on PS1 than they are on SNES. You also get some nice amount of momentum from them. Ooh, I shouldn't have died there. Oh, you can see now this weasel is like that's probably some emulator glitch or something. That always happens. I don't know why. I don't think it happens on the console, but I haven't really tested that. Notice the iframes. We can pass through the dagger throwing weasels during their iframes. right after hitting them.
Sorry.
And they show their nice polka dot underwear. Hitboxes. Just jump on everything. That fire has a really weird hitbox. You have to be like very much to the left in order to avoid being hit. But if you stop for too long, then the weasel will throw a dagger and hit you instead. Alright, here I have just enough health to do a jump over here. I get off this platform early, much earlier than I'm supposed to. And over here as well. Oh, that's bad. The first marble that I threw actually hit one of the rotating platforms, so it didn't hit the weasel as it was supposed to. So I died before taking the checkpoint, and this is what happens then. You can see why the level warp that's on SNES in this level is very handy. Because that wasn't even halfway past the level, and that was very long already. This screen just wraps around itself 3 times or so. And that was probably a third of the way through. This is what that's supposed to look like. Kill the weasel and then just go through to get the checkpoints. But I might be able to avoid a second death down here. I will probably take 1 death right at the end. Because the next screen after this is one where we really want to be at full health. I stopped a bit there to take damage, so that I can die on this weasel. Those spikes that damage me, they are on a global cycle, I believe. And that's not usually how the cycle looks like, because I take a death somewhere in the middle of the level, and that resets the cycle. And now we have our second tower level, this time on fire, and we're going up instead of down. The fire will obviously never catch up to us, but casually it might scare you a bit. See if I can dodge these crates that are coming down now. Yeah, those are pretty easy to dodge. The main thing that you try to do in this level is try not to get stuck on the side of the platforms. Notice how the metal spiky balls that were coming down sound just like the wooden boxes. Here, just in this autoscroller, the weasels actually die in 1 hit instead of 3. And you can actually go ahead of the screen here, but later on there is a rope, or rather a chain, that I need to grab, and that doesn't spawn until the screen catches up. So I only want to go ahead right at the end over here, this is the chain. This is probably the scariest part of the whole run. Oh, wow, okay, I didn't jump enough there. Somehow. Just thousands in the game. I jump low there to avoid being hit by the weasel, but as you can see, that can have its drawbacks. Alright. Okay, we're fine. Coming up is the final boss, Pete. He was only in one screen on SNES. Instead here we have two screens. This is the first one. This is only on the Sega CD version and on the PS1 version. We are calling all the Mickeys that we freed earlier, and they are helping us defeat Pete. Don't question this game's logic. There is no real story to it. Pete is completely stationary here. He doesn't have a hurt box. He doesn't do anything. All we can do is just hit his pencils at either side 6 times and let the other Mickeys do the work for us. Now, all the marbles and all the hearts and all the enemies, they respawn. However, this will take a while. This boss is rather long. Okay, this is somewhat scary. If I die on this boss, not only do I have 0 lives, and so I would go back to the start of Prince and the Pauper, but also ordinarily, if you die on this boss, you start over. So I'm going to have to be a bit careful, and maybe abuse level select if I have to. Okay. By the way, how the continuous system works in this game. If you die on 0 lives, you get a continue. You can choose to continue, but it will start back at the start of the cartoon that you're on. Notice Pete's heart's underwear. You get a total of 2 continues, unless you... Let's see, how do I want to play this? Not like that. Like this. And this. I should have killed him. Or killed one, I guess. Just coming up with Strath on the spot. For safety. But that was the last hit of this first screen. And now we carry him away on a crane? Question mark? And we end up for some reason in this room.
Get in the car.
And you might recognize this boss from SNES. It's very similar, except the spikes, I believe on SNES they only fall down on the left side. Here they can fall down on the left or on the right, and it's random. Speaking of random, there is almost no RNG in the game, so the run is mostly skill based. Also, I talked about some couple of glitches that are only in the final boss. What happens is we have 4 hits with the spikes like this, and then 4 hits with the wrecking ball that comes down from the ceiling. One glitch is that there is a soft lock. If we do this first hit too early, and I'm actually going to try to go for it.
Get out of the way, you big bully.
We did not get it, but if we do that hit too early, then Pete soft locks, and he just clips into this wall and does some weird stuff. Another glitch that there is we can have a bit of a quick kill.
Didn't mean to hurt you.
Instead of using 4 wrecking ball hits, we can use only 3 wrecking ball hits, but I have no idea exactly how it works. All I know is that you have to get some like almost frame perfect hits, which we did not get right now. So time is coming up on the next hit. And time. Well done, Mickey. Let's see what the congratulations screen says. Mighty Pete have been defeated, and Mickey can start working on his next animated cartoon. Watch for it coming soon. You heard it here. And then the Mad Doctor and band concert Mickey's. Those are some secret areas that of course we skipped. But one thing, I did take the liberty of modding the game, so I actually have a modded credits file, which I will let roll. Incidentally, this is the credit file is the only one that's not actually encrypted. It's just a normal text file. However, finding a way to actually replace it in the ROM was a pain in the ass. But that's it for Mickey Mania. Thank you for having me, and